What's up, guys? WWE Fan Talk here. Today we're going to be taking a new look at the brand new WWE Elite Series 104 that we picked up from Ringside Collectibles using discount code TANNER, TANNER, all caps, save 10% at checkout. So we do have the brand new WWE Elite Series 104, and this is one of the most interesting sets that has been released in quite some time. I think the whole 100 series has been insane so far. We've gotten a lot of figures between Series 100 and Series 104. Today we're going to be taking a close look at the all-red gear AJ Styles, which looks absolutely epic. We get the brand new, first time in the line, Rick Steiner. We get the brand new Drew McIntyre, which a lot of people are bashing on because, I don't know, we've seen it a million times, but this is a very significant figure because this was the Clash at the Castle attire of Drew McIntyre. And then we get Dakota Kai Dakota Kai right here looking freaking awesome. And then we get the first time, or not for, is it the first time in the line, or have we gotten a basic of this one before? I think we've gotten a basic Bron Breakker before, but we have the first ever Elite Braun Breaker, and then the most controversial figure in the set. We got Sakoa, which is the one I'm looking forward to the most. So stay tuned to hear my opinions on each and every one of these figures, and so we can take a closer and in-depth look at all the details on each figure. So here we have the brand new, first time in the line, Sakoa. This is the most anticipated and most controversial figure in the set, and it's super sad that this is a very controversial figure. I have not seen any flaws on this figure that have made me not want to purchase this figure. Just my opinion. I think that, you know, everybody has been wanting a Sakoa, and we finally have a Sakoa. And I haven't seen proportions be this much of a problem until this very figure. I know people don't like the Drew McIntyre because his upper torso is pretty big. But now people are talking about how small this Sakoa is. I'm going to give my opinion on it right now. So let's take a closer look at Sakoa. He comes with this head towel right here. I know a lot of people are saying he comes out with a black one, which, you know, I do think is right. I don't know the last time he wore a white one. But it is a new sculpt, and it did come with Sakoa. And you could paint it black if you want to. It's not that big of a deal. So very cool that we're getting this towel right here. It's not like, who gives a crap, really? It's a white towel. I don't care. I think it's cool. And then next up we do have this accessory right here, and this is not a Velcro backing. This is the new stretchy material that we got with the Street Profits, and now we're getting it with Sakoa. So let's take that off right now, which might be a little bit of a challenge. I'm not sure how many people are going to want to have this figure posed up with the We The One shirt. Maybe the people that don't like the torso so much. Excuse me for my voice. I just did do a match, and I was screaming at a ton of people as Tanner Black, so my voice is gone. So let's take a closer look at Sakoa without his shirt here. And just, in my opinion, I don't feel like this Sakoa looks bad. In fact, I think it looks really good. And I know a lot of people don't like this torso. I could totally understand why. We are missing that waistline band right there. It's not even a band, it's just part of the pant sculpt that comes up over his belly button. And he is a little bit thicker around his waist and upper torso. I think the arms are a good choice for the thickness, and I think the tattoos look fantastic. I just think the main thing right here, I don't even care about the legs. I think the legs look great. We got the nice feet mold right there, foot mold, looking very fantastic. I just think the one complaint is probably this torso right here and the pant line not going up higher. But seriously, who cares? This is better than 99% of the customs that people were making out there. We got a legit WWE line. Sakoa right here. And, you know, like, enough with the complaining. We have it in hand. We have a complete bloodline. So, I don't know. I'm satisfied with the figure. I like to be optimistic and look past the flaws just because I've been wanting a Sakoa in my collection, and I think everybody else has. So, I mean, if you're going to buy this figure, why would you complain about it? You know what I mean? Like, you see it ahead of time. Don't buy this figure if you absolutely hate this. If you hate this, don't buy it. If you like it, buy it. You know, I think it looks good, and I think that you should buy it because there's a Sakoa on the market, and I think you should get it. But the tattoos look fantastic, coming all throughout. I think they absolutely nailed it. And then this head sculpt looks just like Sakoa as well. Very cool. I love the blonde with the fade. It looks just like him. We get the awesome trunks right here, or tights, or shorts, whatever you want to call it. We get these Samoan designs coming throughout. It says Solo on the front. It says Street Champ on the back, and we get the open back knee pads with the white tape on the legs. We get the foot tape right there, looking very cool. I think they nailed the feet mold as well. I think it looks pretty good. Now, the one major complaint for me, if I had to complain about anything, is that he does not come with the Samoan spike hand, but there is a solution to that problem. I think you can go to the Umaga. If you have an Umaga, I'm pretty sure he comes with a Samoan spike hand. I'm not sure how this hand sizes, vary between the two figures, but I think you could pull it off from a distance. But very cool solo Sakoa. If you don't like this torso, just throw on the We The One shirt. It is a cool We The One shirt. I might throw that on the Sami Zayn. That might be pretty sick. We do get the We The One's pointing finger. We get 2 of those, looking very cool. And then we get a mic holding hand and 2 fists. It is pretty strange how we got 2 pairs of hands and then 1 mic holding hand. I do believe, I believe that's it, right? Or was there 2? I'm not sure. That's strange. Oh, never mind. I lied. I didn't see it. Here we go. Here's the other mic holding hand. So we get 2 mic holding hands, 2 fists, 2 We The One pointing fingers. So overall, really cool solo Sakoa. Can't wait to get this lined up with the Bloodline, and I definitely recommend you should pick it up because I don't know how long from now we're going to get another solo. So pick it up. Stop complaining about it. That's just my opinion. I think everybody has a valid opinion, but this is a great solo, and I think you should pick it up. Next up, we have the brand new Braun Breaker. And initially, when they released photos of the Braun Breaker, I was pretty pumped that he was the chase in this set, just because, he is a newer guy, and I think it gives people more opportunity to pick up more Bron Breakers. And I think it is proper, because it would be better than getting a chase Dakota Kai or a chase Drew McIntyre. It would be cool to get a chase AJ Styles, but I think having Bron Breakker as the chase is the proper way to go. But I was pretty pumped that we got the pink attire as the regular version, just because I thought that the pink attire was better. I think it was more intriguing, more interesting, because usually with newer guys, if they have a black gear, we usually get the black gear as their first figure, but we're getting a full decked out pink and black gear with Bron Breakker right here, and I think this figure looks fantastic. And again, just like Solo Sakoa, this is a figure I've been wanting in my collection for quite some time, just, following his story on NXT and everything he's been doing. I think this is a perfect figure that represents his dominance in NXT. So Bron Breakker does come with the brand new NXT Championship with the rainbow colors, which I'm not 100% a fan of. Not the figure. I think that the figure version does it very well. It is pretty shiny, so I don't know if all the colors are going to come in. I think the figure definitely represents the title really well. Just the real-life version, I'm not the biggest fan of. And they didn't even paint it all the way through. Doesn't even look like. Not all the colors are in there, which is understandable. But still very cool that we're getting the updated NXT title in our collection. And he does come with, oh snap, let me get that fist before it falls. There we go. We get 2 fists right here, very cool. And then the Bron Breakker up close. And I think that this figure looks pretty stellar. We get the nice pink and all the numbers going through it. I believe his father might have worn a similar gear, like kind of similar to this in one of his career match. I don't even know. How do you explain it? He wore this in the past, and I think his father wore something similar like this in the past. Anyways, now that we're besides that mind garbage, let's take a closer look at the details. We get the upside down numbers. I don't know what that really means or the significance behind this gear design, and I think it's pretty interesting that we're getting this in his first figure. Because I don't even know how often he wore this gear, or, you know what I mean? I'm not sure. Leave it in the comments down below. When did he wear this gear? We get the tribal tattoo on his shoulder, which I think they nailed, and that's pretty much for his tattoos. As for his head sculpt, I would say that his hair maybe looks a little dark. I'm not sure. I'm not really going to complain about it just because I don't have a picture of him right now. But just from memories, I think that his hair is a little lighter than this, right? Or maybe they nailed it on the head. I'm not sure, but they did a fade. Looks very nice. Singlet looks really sick. I like the mold. I believe this is a new mold. And then I just think the proportions look really good on this figure. They didn't make him too tall, too short, too beefy, too skinny. It looks about right. We get the pink knee pads, open back knee pads, and it does say Breaker on the sides of his boots. Looking very freaking epic. This is a fantastic figure, and all the Braun Breaker fans out there, I'm pretty sure they're freaking pumped right now. And as am I, because he's an up-and-coming star, and who knows, he could be a 3-time NXT champion before you know it. I believe he is, 25? That's pretty dang young, so he has another couple NXT title runs in his career, and probably main eventing WrestleMania one day. I'm not sure. They're pretty much pushing this guy to the moon, so he's like the next Goldberg or the next John Cena. I don't know. I'm not going to push it that far. But he is a very fantastic and entertaining wrestler. So Bron Breakker, really cool. Can't wait for the next figure. And here next up, we have the brand new Dakota Kai. And this one might rank high up on the list when we do rank the figures from least to greatest at the end of the video. The only thing that I don't like is that we're not getting ankle pivot, which I think they should have updated by now. There is no ankle pivot, so it is pretty hindered. And I do feel like, I don't know, I still feel like these women figures could feel a little less cheap. I think it's because they scale the women smaller than the men, so the women's figures tend to feel a little cheap. But I do feel like they've done this figure pretty well. And I think this is probably better than some of the other women's figures we've got in the past, and just kind of like that Rhea Ripley we got recently. That's a fantastic figure, and I do recommend picking it up. Again, if I'm stuttering, it's because my brain is pretty messed up after fighting tonight, and I just had to get this video review done before I forget to review these figures. But I am pretty pumped to get these on the channel right now. But I do think that her pink and black gear is fantastic. This is the pink and black gear line. We got the Dakota Kai and we got the Braun Breaker in this set. So very cool. We get the open mouth expression. We get the blonde, the black, and the pink. Looking very cool with the curls. We get the nice straps that are added on. Looking really sick. All the tattoos, double jointed arms. Pinless joints, looking very cool. I do think that they should have added the ankle pivot though. I would have had pins in these joints pins in these joints with an ankle pivot than what we got here. But it is what it is, very cool. Dakota Kai, she does come with a WWE microphone, which we have not gotten in some time. And we got the hang loose hands, and we get a fist that comes with Dakota Kai. So very cool Dakota Kai, and not much more to say, but very outstanding figure. And all the Dakota Kai fans out there, I know there's a lot, definitely pick this figure up. And here we have the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre and his ring attire. I believe this is his ring attire from when he fought at Clash at the Castle against Roman Reigns. So I'm pretty surprised that people are trashing all over this figure when everybody was hot on Drew McIntyre at this time. And we're getting the figure that represents that time. So I don't get people sometimes. I know it's the same figure and people are like, it's the same thing over and over again. Well, I'm like, it's the same thing over and over again when we get the same Roman Reigns. It's the same thing over and over again when we get AJ Styles. It's all the same mold pretty much. And it's like, what are you going to do? Like, you don't want any more Drew McIntyre figures? He has a new gear. And this was one of his most recent gears. And this is from Clash of the Castle. I don't know why people wouldn't want this. This is honestly one of my favorite Drew McIntyre gears. I was pretty pumped at the simplicity and just how much it popped for how simplistic it was. I thought it was sick. I love the red swords and the chrome details in there. I just think it fit well, especially for that night. So the fact that people complain so much, it blows my mind, because this is a great figure. I love the Drew McIntyre figures, and I think they nailed it. And the hair looks great. Same head sculpt we've gotten before, but it is fairly recent. I think we've only gotten it in one or two other Drew McIntyres. But the beard does look like a lighter color. And it do have a little mark on the forehead, but that's all right. But I think it does look like Drew McIntyre for sure, that smirk he gives all the time. We get the chest hair coming all the way down. Black trunks, black knee pads, black boots. And then we get a shorter cut of tape on his hands, which I do believe is accurate from that night. We have the kilt right here looking fantastic. Same mold as we got before, but with the newer white and silver colors going throughout. So very cool. He does come with his sword. And then he does come with the, some people call this the Claymore kick, slap hands, and some people call it his entrance hands when he's on the top rope and he's doing his pose. I don't know how to explain it, but very cool. But overall, really cool Drew McIntyre figure. I'm glad to have another Drew in the collection. It's been some time. I think the next figure we should get for Drew is his WrestleMania white gear. I think that is probably his all-time best gear. I do believe he wore white, if I stand correct. I do believe he wore white, but very sick Drew McIntyre, just absolutely clean. And it really bums me out that people are trashing some of these figures in this set, because I think this is one of the best sets we've gotten in a little while. I know the last set was really good, but personally, I'm just really excited by some of the details on these figures in this particular set. Next up in this set, we have the brand new Rick Steiner. And this was one of the figures I was not really looking forward to when this set came out. But, you know, I need it in my collection, and it's part of the set, and I'm not going to leave one figure out. And plus, there's probably a lot you could do with this figure. Even if you don't like Rick Steiner, got an extra Braun Breaker, throw in a Braun Breaker head on there, and you got another Braun Breaker. But I do believe this is Braun Breaker's father, so that's pretty lit that we're getting him in the set. If I am wrong, leave it in the comments down below. But I do believe it is his father, right? Isn't it his father? I don't know. Anyways, we have the brand new Rick Steiner, and this figure has blown me out of the water, or blown my mind, whatever you want to say. Just the amount of detail they've added on this coat right here. It is rubber, but just the detail looks great. If you have him posed up on a shelf, it looks great. You don't need to get him in any other pose. Plus, if you did have a cloth goods jacket and you had him in a particular pose, after time, it might wrinkle and crack. So we got a very cool rubber coat right here. So beware of the dog. And we're going to get this off right here. See how easy it is to take this off. It is a pretty hard plastic. So taking it off. There is the jacket. Very cool. I love the little dog horns or whatever you want to call that. The flames look fantastic. So very, very cool jacket. I'm glad we got that. We do get a pair of mic holding hands, which is nice. And then now we do get Rick Steiner up close and personal. He does come with a bandana, glasses, and I don't want to take it off just because it is rubber band on, and I would like to leave it on without it falling off. So very cool. There is his eyes right there. I mean, I don't know. I think he looks better with shades on. He does got his nice beard cut right there, looking sick. He has the dog collar on, the all black singlet. It says "Bite Me" on the back, and then we get his wrist tape with the white and his knee pads as well. And I think the highlight of this figure is probably the boots. It says "Bite Me." Has all these colorful designs going on, and I think it says "Dead or Alive." Just very epic Rick Steiner figure, and I think this is one of the coolest and most mind-blowing figures in the set. I was not expecting to like, but he just looks like a cool classic wrestler, and he looks awesome right next to Bron Breakker. How sick is that? They do look pretty similar, but if you did remove that tattoo and you were able to put this tattoo on over here, then you'd have a new Braun Breaker. So there's just an idea. Very, very sick. And I'm not sure, is this a new mold for the singlet? I'm not quite sure if it is, but very, very cool. It's cool to have these two in the same series or the same set. So yeah, if you do like Rick Steiner, and I think there is some controversy behind him for some reason, I don't really want to get into that because I didn't even do research on it. And maybe that makes me uneducated. I don't know, but I'm not going to, I don't know. It's a cool action figure. You know what I'm saying? It looks cool. And I think it would be cool eventually to get a Chris Benoit action figure. I know people have their opinions on that. But the wrestler Chris Benoit was fantastic. And it would be cool to get him in a line. We probably never will. But it would be cool if we got a Chris Benoit. So overall, really cool Rick Steiner. Definitely recommend picking him up. And last and certainly not least, we have the brand new phenomenal AJ Styles in his all red gear. Now for me, this is a dream figure we are getting with the red gear because I don't know if you guys know this, but red is my favorite color. So I love when we get red on figures. Not like when it's all black with red designs, but when it's red with black designs. I think that's freaking epic. It would be cool to get some other red gears from AJ. Maybe to throw in like the Legends line or something like that, like throwback line. Maybe like, you remember that white and red and black attire he wore against Chris Jericho? I think it was WrestleMania. That would be cool to get in a WrestleMania set. How cool would that be? But this is a newer red gear that he wore with the club, and he does come with a rubber t-shirt, so taking that off right there. We're going to see the newest rendition, or the newest mold for AJ Styles, the updated mold that we've all been waiting for years and years and years. We get the Sin Cara body mold, and I think it just ties everything together. Even if we don't have bigger thighs, I think bigger thighs on the AJ like we've talked about before, I do think that this torso ties everything together, and I think it's going to leave collectors absolutely satisfied. But, you know how collectors are. They're going to look at this, and they're going to forget about it, and then they're going to start picking on something else about these AJ figures. But you know what? People just need to shut up and just need to enjoy their figures. And, especially if they're spending money on them. If you're going to spend money on a figure, why are you freaking complaining about it, bro? Anyways, there is the AJ. No chest hair. Totally fine. They spent the money on the torso. It's all good. AJ on the side with all the birthdays. We get the red designs coming throughout on his tights with the club logos and whatnot. And I think this is probably the best AJ Styles Elite we've ever gotten. Not probably, definitely, for sure. And we do get a newer head scan, I believe. Or maybe this came on the Ultimate, but this hair does feel longer. It feels more rubbery. So, interesting. He does come with a 2 sweet hand right there, and then we can pop on his regular mic holding hands right there, and then he does come with another 2 sweet hand as well as the entrance hands right there, which do connect, which we have seen in the past, but I nailed it right there, looking freaking fantastic. But I do prefer the mic holding hands. They're the most basic, and hey, look, they painted the palms. How fantastic. And then we do get a red design on the elbow pad. They did not skip us out on that. And we get the red on the back of the kick pads. I just think this figure is overall fantastic, and it's probably going to place super high on the list, but you're just going to have to wait and see. But very phenomenal AJ Styles, no pun intended. Definitely recommend it. Pick this figure up. If you pick up any figure in the set, it needs to be this one. Now the part of the video where we rank the figures from least to greatest. I don't want people to be upset by my rankings list, and this was a very, very hard list to put together. I don't know. It's probably controversial, but you're just going to have to wait and see. At the bottom of the list, I am probably going to give it to the Rick Steiner. This is not a bad figure. If you go back to that portion of the video, you know how hard I complimented this figure, and I do think it's fantastic. There's not a single thing on this figure that's bad. I'm just not the most familiar with Rick Steiner, but he is a legend, and it is cool to add legends into your set, especially guys that you haven't gotten before. First time in line, Rick Steiner. So, bottom of the list, just because I'm not the most familiar with Rick Steiner. So, but very, very cool that we're getting him in the set. Next up, I am going to give it to Dakota Kai. This is one of my favorite women's figures we've gotten in quite some time. I think the details are great. The ring attire choice is fantastic. I'm not so sure about the head sculpt. I do think it looks like Dakota Kai, probably the best Dakota Kai head sculpt we have gotten. But I'm not the biggest fan of certain open mouth expressions. I think screaming ones are okay, but for her, it just looks like she's saying, like, what? Like, she looks confused, and she does feel a little dangly, but she does make it higher on the list, so very cool Dakota Kai. Next up, I am going to give it to the Drew McIntyre. I know a lot of people are probably going to put this one at the bottom of the list just because he is super basic, I guess you could say, with the colors and whatnot, but just because this dude wore this at Clash of the Champions and almost defeated Roman Reigns, pretty much did fair and square, and still to this day, I do believe he should have been the one to defeat Roman Reigns. Next up, Cody Rhodes, I would say. But Drew McIntyre has always been my pick to defeat Roman Reigns. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen as far as I know. But very cool, Drew McIntyre. Then next up on the list, this was a very hard one. I'm going to give it to the Bron Breakker. I love the pink gear and the numbers all throughout. I do think it's fantastic, and there's not a lot of complaints about this figure. In fact, there's no complaints. I know I said something about the dark hair, but I did go look at a picture of Bron Breakker, and he does have dark hair. So, I mean, not like he didn't have dark hair, but this shade of darkness, of black or brown or whatever you want to say, it does look to be accurate. So, very cool Bron Breakker. And now, the moment of truth. The number one spot for me is a personal opinion about which one I would buy first. It's not necessarily about the best figure. I'm going to explain it in a second. At number 2, I'm going to give it to AJ Styles, and at number 1, I'm going to give it to Solo Sakoa. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is not for accuracy, and it's not for what I think people are going to buy. I do feel like people are going to buy more of Solo Sakoa than any figure in this set, just because of the Bloodline story. And I do think there's a lot of inaccuracies, maybe not a lot, but just the torso and the waistband. I think the proportions are correct. Maybe the torso being a little bit thicker, but if he had that waistband with this torso, I do think that it would tie everything together. The AJ Styles is just out of this world stellar, and I do think it has the best details out of every figure in this set. But just the sole purpose of having a Solo Sakoa makes him at number 1. But you could easily put AJ Styles at number 1 as well. It's just my preference pretty much. So I would not blame you if you put AJ Styles or Bron Breakker at number 1. But for me personally, it has to go to the Solo Sakoa. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video review of WWE Elite Series 104. If you do want to pick these figures up with a discount code, go to Ringside Collectibles and use discount code Tanner, Tanner, all caps, to save 10% at checkout. I know 10% doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when you're picking up an entire set like this. It does definitely help. Leave it in the comments down below. Which figure are you going to pick up first in this set? Which figures are you going to get in this set? Which is your favorite figure in this set? And there is a little detail I wanted to point out right now. Is this accurate right here? There's like a little line in his tattoo. Is that a mess up? Or is that accurate? I'm going to need to go back and look that up. But for me personally, I was looking forward to the solo Sakoa the most. Then the AJ Styles. Then the Braun Breaker. Actually, I lied. I probably looked forward to the solo and Braun the most. But I do think that AJ Styles is that much better than the Braun Breaker. But again, we're getting steered away from the main point of this video. But make sure to leave the comments. Make sure to leave comments down below on your list. How would you rank them? What's your favorite figure? What other videos do you want to see on this channel? Do you want to see more belt video reviews? Do you want to see more predictions? Leave it in the comments down below what your interests are. And I will make sure to jump in the comments and answer some of your questions. Thanks for watching, guys. WWE Fan Talk Show out.